Hey, ladies.
How are you?
So did you guys get acquainted while I was getting in here?
Yes.
Okay, so I've always spoke about each one of you, to each one of you, and I just thought it would be good to bring the three of you together. Of course, Amina, the family coach, the therapist to the LGBT community. You know, when we met each other at the grocery store, you felt my spirit right then and there, and you even counseled me in the store when we were talking. Shontica, the transformation coach, spiritual advisor, love goddess. When you and I first met, we talked, but then when we rode together in the car, talking while we were doing the homeless, feed the homeless, you told me then about myself and that I don't need acceptance from other people. And then of course, my boo-boo kitty. It's kind of hard to see you in that mask, but I know you're going out of the country, and I know you got to make sure that you pass that COVID test because that money don't stop.
That part.
I've told you guys about how my point where I was suicidal and going through a lot of hurt, anger, pain. I didn't tell nobody because I believe in there's two ways to kill yourself. Either you do or you don't. And I tried not to tell no one, that is. She knocked on my garage door. She knew something wasn't right because I wasn't talking to her. So she does amazing work with domestic violence. She speaks all over the world. And of course, everybody knows who Drea Kelly is and her story. So I thought the three of you guys coming together would be absolutely amazing and phenomenal. Three women in my life, a gay man having three women that can just knock a bitch out, not only with their words, but with their hands, you know. But at the same time, you guys all speak of peace. So I wanted to get you guys together for y'all to talk. I got to go in the kitchen because Devontae said he was hungry. Okay. So I got to cook something to eat. You guys talk. If y'all need something, just let me know, okay? Right, and I'll be back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's my heart right there. That I love. Listen, I kill a brick. Don't play with me. And if you a toddler, I might punch you in your stomach. Don't do it. This one, don't do it. Don't do it.
His grandma,
the whole family. Everybody. Roll wheelchairs up and everything. Do not do it when it comes to that one. I love that one right there. When he went through that situation, it was like when you're connected to a person, it was something like,
you feel it.
I could not sleep. And I'm like, something is off. It don't feel right. Something is going on. I just feel it in my gut. Something's not right. He wasn't answering that phone. When I tell you, I couldn't sleep, eat. I was like, something's going on. Something is not right. But when you have that connection with somebody,
powerful.
It's like the spirit won't let you loose. It's spiritual. That is a spiritual connection. But that is so crazy because in the Black community, we talk so much about spirituality and religion and church and God, but that's also the place that instills the most fear in our community. Because for me, ending up in a toxic relationship, it was like people, why would you stay so long? And how did you get there? And if it was me, they don't realize my grandfather was a Baptist preacher, but he was also the first man I ever saw beat a woman. So for me, God, love, and pain were one at a very early age. So I was like, okay, well, if a man of a cloth beats his wife, of course a man in the street does, so this is normal. And I really feel that, nothing against my grandmother, rest in peace. It wasn't so much what my grandfather did that changed me, it's what my grandmother didn't do that changed me. Because I accepted he was a monster, but the fact that when she got up the next day and made that man breakfast like did nothing happen. And I remember sitting there like a little girl like, is he praying over the eggs? I know literally had his Bible, his food, everything, and she stood in solidarity with this man. He said, amen, and she was like, amen, Rev. I was like, so that's what we doing today? We just gonna have breakfast, and you gonna be a pastor today? So for me, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is how you handle it. My family never talked about it. Nobody in the neighborhood ever talked about it. So I was like, oh, well, this is normal. This is what you do. Fast forward, you're in the middle of the situation yourself. And I remember the day it happened. I got up the next day, I'm making breakfast for the kids, and instantly I was like, you are your grandmother.
Yeah, true.
Here you are the very next day making breakfast for him like nothing ever happened.
And that's that culture piece where it's normalized and it becomes so embedded in us as women.
Yeah.
Because love is what has been shown to me unconsciously.
Right. Yeah.
And you indulge in it.
Yeah.
And you give yourself to the situation because you're like, if he don't beat me, then he don't love me.
But where does it start? Let's go back. Guess where it starts? As little girls, when boys push us, kick us, throw stuff in us, first thing they tell us is, he doing that because he like you. He like you. That's why he doing that.
We programming ourselves to say and to believe that if he don't hit me, he don't love me.
Yeah, we teach little girls that love is equated with violence. And we teach little boys being violent towards women shows them love and affection. And then we wonder why we end up in these situations that we are in. And it's like, whoa. And then the reverse happens when you do come out and talk about it. We all tell women, well, get you a good man who pay all the bills, that tell you shouldn't want for nothing. We don't know the difference between a man that's showing love and concern and a man who's abusive and controlling, because they look the same. A controlling man pays all the bills because he don't want you to work. A controlling man don't want you to have your friends. What's the first thing we tell women? When you married now, you ain't gonna be able to hang with your friends. So now I don't know that he's being controlling.
Right.
I don't know that it's abusive, that I can't have female friends and I can't dress the way I want to.
Right.
Because y'all have conditioned me to believe that's what a good man's supposed to do. So now we with the monster and don't even realize it.
My situation was a lot different. I didn't see it growing up. Two-parent household. I'm the only girl. So my daddy was the one that, you're so beautiful. I love you. Chocolate. He affirmed me every single day of my life. I didn't have a boyfriend until 12th grade because my dad did everything. If I wanted to go out, my daddy was taking me. So I wasn't looking for anybody else other than my daddy to do it for me. And my parents got a divorce. When as soon as I graduated high school. And my dad left for 3 months. And he didn't say anything. He didn't communicate with us. And my mind was still yearning for that, I love you. You're so pretty. So I gravitated to the first dude that said it. And I didn't know it was fake because my daddy been saying this to me all this time. So he cannot be saying this because he don't mean it. He got to mean what he's saying.
Right.
That's how I got caught up.
Right.
So I was already going through, my dad has left. He has not talked to me for 3 months. That sent my self-esteem down the drain. And now I've connected with somebody that,
yeah. And that's an abandonment issue on all levels. Because then you're trying to figure out, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Where did I let my dad down that he felt he had to leave and not be
you're
here
not
with
even
me?
calling me. Like, what did I do?
Right.
Not understanding, as I got older, he had to do that for him.
Right.
Because him leaving us, and he had been married to my mom, 26, 27 years? That was hard, too, to leave his kids and what he's known all this time. So now, when I got older, I understand it now.
Yeah.
But that wasn't it. I got out of that relationship and turned around and got into one, like what you said, it looked different. He had the money. He had the good job. He could take me out. I could travel. And it looked like he cared about me. You would pick up the phone. You want to know where I'm at. You want to see if I made it safely, and not knowing that that's not what you wanted. You was controlling the situation. In this relationship, I experienced the worst of the worst. And when I never told, for 16 years collectively, I never told anybody. I hid this from the world. It was lie on top of lie. When my shoulder was broke, it was a lie. When my face was busted, it was a lie. Finally, when he broke my finger and I'm being wheeled into a surgery, I said, I can't live my life as a lie. Like, people are going to know my fingers broke. What I'm going to tell them? And I still lied. I still made up a lie. It's not until I understood that this is historical. This is historical. Because if I didn't see it growing up, where did this come from? Where did this mentality come from? That I'm supposed to be treated less than. Like, I don't have value. And I'm okay with not having value. And that's when I learned self-love was not taught. So I said, my dad told me how beautiful I was, but he never said, baby, look in that mirror and tell yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all external. You were not given the tools for the internal. And a lot of us are not in our community. Let's be real about it. You look at the generations, at the end of the day, everybody's just trying to figure out how to keep food in the refrigerator, the lights on, and a roof over everybody's head. Other than that, ain't nobody got time. But I don't understand where this whole thing is. that womanhood, especially black women, we are taught that if you have not gone through struggle and strife, you haven't earned your black, strong black woman back.
Yeah.
And you haven't lived.
Yeah, you haven't lived.
I hear that
like,
so much. You have not lived unless you have
gone through X, Y, or Z.
Right.
And it's like, why are we the only culture that teaches that? Every other culture teaches that women should be doted upon and loved and be delicate with them and care for them and provide for them. We are the only culture that's like, well, baby, you ain't lived till you went through such and so and so. And then we normalize the crime, the rape,
the struggles. The struggles. It's crazy because I sit here and I listen to both of y'all stories and I'm like, mine has a little twist to it. So the reason why I became an LGBT therapist is because as a child, I knew that I was different. Mm-hmm. I knew I didn't like the opposite sex. Mm-hmm. But because of how my family was, I had to keep it a secret. And so inside of me, that's a struggle with in being a child. Like, you're like, oh no, I cannot be openly gay. Because if I'm openly gay, then I have to deal with my mom, I have to deal with the church, I have to deal with all this. Send her to a camp. Send her to a camp so you can get those demons out of her. Well, what demon do I have inside of me that because I love somebody, that makes my love different from how you love somebody else?
Exactly.
So my beatings came from because I was gay.
They gonna beat it out.
I'm gonna beat you out. I'm gonna beat it out of you. Mm-hmm. Spiritually,
yeah.
Church, the word, the Bible. No, that's not what the word says. It doesn't say any of that.
Yeah.
I read that Bible from front to back to front, trying to get the answers that what they were saying to me, because who I loved. Channel 4 a couple more years. Then it's like, okay, you gotta have a kid, you gotta get married. Okay, got married, had a kid, had two. My first, got pregnant at 15. That didn't work out. Father wasn't there. Then my second, I married the most, man, I can't even describe it. The worst narcissist you can ever think of.
Ooh.
Who only saw themselves by the character they put out. But I fell for it because it was like, okay, well, this is what my parents want. This is what I need to do. And so it was like, okay. But when I got in it, it was nothing what the world saw. Nothing.
Jekyll and Hyde. They are Jekyll
From
and
Hyde. Shattered ribs, broken jawbones, broke arm. And I told, he did this. Oh, well, it'd be okay. Just put some ice on it.
Well, what did you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was your
But
fault.
that's taught too. Yeah. That's taught that you stand by your man regardless of what. But that, and I say this now to my clients. I say, I thank God for my ancestors. I do. I thank you for using what you had at the time to get me to where I am or to get my mom to where she was. But we cannot live on that. We are walking into different seasons and stuff has to change. Like, that's when I woke up. I'm going to stop using these same lines that our parents use. I'm going to stop doing things the way that my parents did it. I love you. I thank you for what you did do for me. But I can't use this going forward. Something has to change.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I read that. I was always in the church. Come on, I'm dragging my kids. We going to church. We ain't doing nothing else. We going to church. I'm going to give you all my money. I woke up with religion when I moved back home to start over. And I said, Mom, let me borrow $10,000. And I'm going to turn your 2-car garage into my house. She was like, you're crazy. But they know me for being a crafter. She can figure it out.
Right.
I turned this garage into my home, and maybe 3 years later, on spring break, I'll never forget, the neighbor's tree fell on my home. And 2 days prior to that, I had sold this huge seed into the church, $1,500. And I was excited about sowing my seed. That Thursday, that tree fell on my home, and I asked for assistance. I showed them that me and my daughter didn't have nothing but the clothes on our backs, and we were denied. That's when it clicked. Something about this is not right.
Exactly.
Something about, and I stayed in my relationships because of religion.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't married, but I'm reading the Bible saying, love thy neighbor, and I'm hearing you say, love your neighbor like you would love yourself. And I'm saying, well, I don't love myself, so how am I going to love my neighbor? And it clicked that day that something about this not right. I need more. I need some answers. Because what you telling me to live by don't add up.
It's not add up. We're quick to adjust and reset the times. So why don't we keep up with what's going on in the world? We keep our old ways and never transform into new modern times and days.
Right.
Like that's like the internet. Kids are on the internet all day. But we'd rather write. We'd rather write in journal over here instead of turning that writing into a blog.
We have to adjust.
You have
And
to
we have
adjust.
to.
It's just what
And
it is.
I get back then what our grandmothers and our great aunts,
Yeah.
y'all say, because you have to toil the land out of necessity in order to eat. Nowadays, I would call that Uber Eats so quick and call the police on you too. Get out, and here come my Chinese food. Back then, there were, like you said, you have to adjust, and we have to start teaching, especially this new generation. Yo, that old way of thinking is not going to work. And we need to look back and say, I get what you're saying about the word, but also let's dig a little deeper in the word. I need some of these pastors get in the pulpit and let you know, just because you're a homosexual don't guarantee you going to hell, and just because you're heterosexual don't guarantee you going to heaven.
We are all, nobody was born Christian. Nobody was born with a title. We are all spiritual beings having a natural experience. When I understood that, when we leave this earth, we will be spiritual beings having a natural experience. You will not be a Christian when you leave here. You will not be a Buddhist when you leave here. You will be a spiritual being who had a natural experience, who's now living eternally in wherever we go. Spiritual though.
Yeah.
When I understood that, it blew my mind when I understood that, and that's what I teach now.
Yeah.
The difference is spiritual makes you go in and discover you. Religion makes you search and keep trying to figure out where it's at. It's out here somewhere in these clouds, and one day it's gonna drop down for me to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
When I understood that, I said, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
That's true. That's
And but
powerful.
when you have that kind of awakening,
That's powerful.
you read the Bible differently too. I listen to pastors differently. I said, now ain't there something funny? According to the Bible, you got me reading.
Yeah.
It says on Judgment Day, God is going to raise the dead first. But then that same pastor will get up in front of an entire church and say, Grandma Hattie ain't here with us no more. She in the bosom of the Lord. Well, wait a minute.
Because
Didn't the Bible
she should be
just
rested.
say
She should be rested right
she
now.
should be resting right now? Pastors really will get up there and say absent from body means present with the Lord. But wait a minute, don't the very word you teaching me out of say you are in a state of slumber and sleep until he comes back. He will raise the dead first, and all will ascend. So help me understand the two.
But
I'm so confused.
that goes with saying you have to read. When you're awoke, you're reading, you're doing your research, you're doing your own legwork. You're not being taught by a third person.
But so many people are scared. They're scared of the unknown. I was hurt. What? I was sitting in church and I heard, get up and leave. And I'm like, get up and leave? Where I'm going? I was so disobedient. I left that church and went to another church and joined the church because that's all I know. I don't know anything else. God, you're going to have to show me. Even when God was saying, use crystals, getting me into this whole spiritual practice. When I heard crystals, yeah, get you some. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Who doing? Because from what I was told.
That's witchcraft.
That's witchcraft.
That's witchcraft.
Yeah.
Witchcraft, yeah.
But God took me to the breastplate. And it, again, my spiritual awakening blew my mind like no other. Showed me the breastplate that the pastor get in the church and talk about. It. Put on your breastplate. Make sure you got it on. Never said that there were 12 stones in this breastplate, and the middle stone was an amethyst.
Yeah.
So to me, when I realized that, it wasn't the power in the breastplate. It was the energy and the power in the stones. But you'll never hear that in the church. So now I'm having an understanding that
Religion and tradition equals money, and
That's true.
we control people by fear.
Yeah.
we are
As long as I keep
emotions.
you so afraid of going to hell, you're going to keep coming to this place and giving your
You're
money.
gonna keep Sunday after Sunday. I'm going to hold you over to the next Sunday. I can't even go in church and look at church the same way.
Yeah.
Because I understand nobody is getting healing.
No.
Now I understand why God pulled me out of church. Because you got the guts to do what I'm telling you to do. You got the guts to use your gift, your anointing, and your power to do the work that's not being done.
Yeah.
Because I just went to a service and I called my friend and I was like, friend, you're going to have to pray for me because I can't sit in church the same no more.
Right.
Because I didn't see nobody get healing in this
Nobody.
church. But watch this. I know for a fact there are women in this church who are being abused and nobody will ever say anything. You know why they are? Because the Bible tells them when they get married, there is no divorce.
Exactly.
Oh, no divorce at
But
all.
the Bible also
Yeah.
says God is love. When there is no more love in the marriage, The marriage is put together in love.
Right.
Your marriage is there was no papers signed in the Bible for marriage.
Exactly.
They got together. He saw his wife and he said, I claim
I
her
blame her. Yeah.
and she is mine. There was no ceremony.
Yes.
It was none of
But have
that.
you ever noticed that in the Bible, most husbands have like 3 or 4 wives?
Yes.
Like 3 or 4, and I'm like having kids and kids and kids and kids after these 3 or 4 wives.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But let's go
when you
deeper.
Bible beat a woman and tell her, no, you can't get a divorce because in the word it said, but it's also said in the word in love.
In
so
love.
when there is no
But
love,
let's go
the
deeper.
marriage been over.
Let's go deeper. The word itself said that God does not give you the spirit of fear, but
It
of
does
love,
not.
power, and a sound mind. So you mean to tell me this man that I'm afraid of, because your word just said God don't give me the spirit of fear. So that means this man is straight from the devil, FedEx, Amazon, overnighted. if I'm in straight fear,
He is the spirit of fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you trying to tell me just disregard that part of the Bible and I just need to stay with him? Because I'm like, no, can't even do it.
And that's the thing.
But I was one of them rebellious kids. When I figured out who my grandfather was, the last time I went to church and saw him, this is what came to my mind. Because people was like, oh, so we going to have a prophetess. And I was like, so what's the difference between somebody that's prophesying and a psychic? Because that means they're hearing from the spirit realm. They'll be like, oh, well, a prophet is from God, a psychic is from the devil. I said, well, my grandfather must be straight from hell because he a preacher in a pulpit and do what he do. So don't tell me that.
Now, I'm going to have to stop y'all. Because, y'all to sit here and bash those straight men down. That's why I'm so glad I'm gay.
But listen, we're not bashing.
When I say bash, I don't mean bash like they not no good. I mean bash because y'all had stories to tell that could make a whole damn new encyclopedia status because y'all been through some shit. Y'all been through some stuff, and I wouldn't have a problem calling it bashing because they bashed y'all. They used their hands.
But watch
And
this,
y'all-
I don't do that.
Well,
This is the approach I took. I thought about, and this is just me, because that's why they call me the love goddess. Thank you. I looked at how I was treating my last abuser.
okay.
And I said, he's going to get with somebody else. And because I was mean, like, don't talk to me, don't call me, don't look at me. If we got to deal with each other because of my daughter, that's how we going to do it. But I looked at it like, if I'm the only love he's going to see, he got to come from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed it. I changed how I was talking. I changed how I was interacting with him. I changed every aspect about how I was treating him.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and got him.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe it's because he had to look at himself. How can somebody that I treated the way I treated come back and treat me like this?
Mm-hmm.
It's something about me that I need to work on. But I don't think he would have ever saw him if I wouldn't have gave him love.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when I came forward to share my story. A lot of people think she mad, she angry. No, it's out of love.
It was love.
You gotta have somebody in your corner that pulls your coattails and say,
That's true.
stop, enough,
Right.
get help. You got kids and you have the ability to get it right. But why would you get it right if you got a whole bunch of yes men around you that's getting paid to allow you to act a fool?
Right.
There's no love in that. So I never understood how people could see me coming forward, and I think that's the biggest gift of love you can give somebody to say, I'm gonna love you enough, even if I'm gonna love you enough to tell you alcoholic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love you enough to tell you you're a drug addict, you need help. I'm gonna love you enough to let you know that you have a sex addiction, because that's not love to sit back and be like, well, that's their life and they need to figure it out. And especially when you've done the work and you know better. I feel we are chosen on a spiritual level, a mental level, emotional level, that is our job. And we're gonna be responsible for that. We really, and people don't get that. Like, me coming forward wasn't a choice. When God said do it, I had to move.
Exactly.
I think this conversation could go on.
It can go on.
I know.
And I ain't spend all day cooking that food and then cooking you something vegan on top of that.
Yeah.
Let's make it to the kitchen.
Okay, come on, let's eat, y'all, because we will be in here forever. We will.
Somebody slid it over here.
It's like,